gives me great pleasure today to share some tried and tested tips and techniques on how you can get more clients more easily and more often without actually feeling like you're selling. Over the last few years, I've been spending a lot of time on different organizations on how they can make decisions so people can pick their company so they can get paid. If you don't make a decision, nothing ever happens. So when people say, I need to think about it, it's not a great place to be. So we need to get their decision first and then give them the information. In the 1980s, we used to have techniques when we were dealing with financial planners where Ben Franklin would say, you've got to go through the pros and cons of all the different areas of business. You've got to work through what works, what doesn't work. And at the very end of the presentation, you come up with all the advantages of why you should take out this policy or take this information or invest your money here. We don't have 2.5 hours anymore. You and I know that we live in a different world and decisions are made pretty quickly. In fact, in 1997, they did some research on how the mind makes decisions. And those decisions were made from programs from the past and how we make decisions. So for example, as a young child, if they were to put their hand on a stove and to burn their hand, that's a bad experience. So from previous experience, they won't do that again. We have some better programs like donuts. Eating donuts can be a pleasant experience. So by eating donuts, we like them and we can't stop eating them when we get older. So that's a great experience. Maybe an experience which we don't like with the program could be we're told as young children, don't trust salespeople. Salespeople will try and take your money. And sometimes your great-grandfather will say, oh, this person's a financial advisor. They might not be, they might be a salesman. And we think, oh, maybe all financial advisors are salesmen. You and I know that's not true. But that could be a program we have in our mind. So we need to try and get rid of some of these programs with our prospects to make it easier. So before we do that, we really need to know how the mind makes a decision. Now, I've already said that people make a decision first without the information. And I know for some people, they want to know some case studies. So would it be okay with you if I gave you 3 simple case studies? Case study number 1, restaurants. No matter where you are around the world, you're going out to dinner with your partner. As you go down the road, on the left-hand side, the restaurant's 3/4 full and people seem pretty happy. You look across the road and the other restaurant's totally empty. Which restaurant do you pick? Well, if you're picking like most people, you'd probably pick the one that's 3/4 full. Why? Because it just feels right. Now, you've made that decision without knowing the prices, if the toilets are clean, know who the chef is. You just made a decision. Then you go into that restaurant. You take a seat, you get to see the menu, look at the menu, you pick a starter, main course, dessert. At what stage did you make a decision? The actual decision was when you're outside the restaurant looking in, when you had no information. So decisions are made pretty quickly. Let's take another case study. Let's take a case study like skydiving. If I was to say to you, if you've got children, how many of you would like your children to come with me skydiving? Put your hands up. There probably wouldn't be too many hands going up immediately. Why? Because it just doesn't feel right. If I gave you some more information for you to make a decision, it might be easier. Now, you made a decision before you knew I had 20 years experience. You made a decision before you realized that we were only skydiving from 6 inches off the floor onto a mattress. You made a decision about skydiving before you realized that 3 out of 4 kids normally live. So those sorts of decisions were made without the information. So let's take another example. Let's take an example like ice cream. If I was to say to you straight after this conference, we can go for ice cream, who wants to come? Maybe half the people put their hands up. Now, they've put their hands up because they want ice cream. They've made a decision they want ice cream without the information. How many calories are in the ice cream? Where is the ice cream? Who's paying for the ice cream? What choices of ice cream are there? So we've made a decision without all the information. Now, that's what people do with us. As financial planners, you and I know, as we sit down with people, they make a decision pretty quickly. So regardless of how much information you got, facts, figures, graphs, charts, PowerPoint presentations, that's wasted because the decision's made in the first few seconds. And if you don't get the decision, the rest is really a waste of time. So how are we going to get people to make a decision to pick us? Well, this really falls into 3 areas. Number 1 is we need to build rapport in the first few seconds. So how are we going to do that? Well, you could smile, that's a great start, and then you could come up with a fact that you and the prospect agree with. Something very simple. It could be work-related, or it doesn't have to be work-related. A fact. It could be it's hot outside. It could be very simple. Most people want to retire with more money. Most people want peace of mind. Most people like to know how the finances are operating. So these are facts that they're going to agree with. Now, to take that up a notch to number 2, the second area is to be interested in the prospect. So if you ask the prospect how they're doing and maybe talk or discuss about problems they might have, or make them aware of problems they didn't know they could have, that's a higher level of rapport. So you could say, for example, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but some people are paying too much tax. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but some people are giving money to the government instead of their children getting the full inheritance. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but some people get hardship in the family and make it hard to survive. So you make them aware of these problems. Then you can say number 3 is options. Would it be okay if I gave you another option so you could look at another option to pay off your mortgage, another option to inherit money without having to pay taxes, another option where you could pay less tax, another option where you could be in a position where you could retire earlier. All we're doing is giving people options. So if we give people options, we're the good people. So those 3 areas again are number 1, build rapport. Number 2, be interested in the prospect, make them aware of problems they might not be aware of. And number 3, give them an option. Now, if we do that, we're the good people. We don't have to worry about PowerPoint presentations. That comes later. We don't have to worry about all the facts, figures, and stats. All we want to do in the first few seconds is to build rapport, get them to like us, get them to trust us, and then for us to give them options that they might pick us. It's been my pleasure to speak to you. My name's Bernie De Souza, helping you get more clients more easily and more often, and getting your prospects to make a decision to pick you at the beginning of a presentation. Thank you for your time.